In today's video, I'm going to be having a look at Kodak. We're also going to be looking at what's going on with Brazil's central bank, and I'm going to be giving you a bit of a rundown on what Fed mesters said last night. Hello and welcome to another ACY Securities Market Update. My name is Alistair Schultz and I'm going to be your host for today's trading journey. The first thing I'm looking at today is of the photography company Kodak. You might remember them from many years ago with disposable cameras and film. Now, unfortunately, over the last couple of decades, with the addition of digital cameras, they have not been able to survive quite so well. However, they have always continued to try and reinvent themselves. This time, however, they're trying to become a pharmaceutical company. They have organized to have a plan for $765 million in government-backed loans to try and bring some of the domestic pharmaceutical manufacturers back to the United States. Now, that's all well and good, sounds like a good idea. However, we're talking about a photography company who deals with chemicals on one end becoming a pharmaceutical company. So there's enough controversy around that side of the table. However, there's been even more. There's been an unreleased or an unscheduled release saying that there was potentially going to be this loan coming from the government. Coincidentally, shortly before the release, the chairman and a couple of other board members of Kodak managed to get some buys on for some stocks in the company. Now, the price went from $2 to $60 very quickly. Now, whilst they haven't actually sold any of those stocks, and it has obviously had a very big rise in value, it's currently sitting at about $15 per share. Regardless, that's still a massive jump. And it's all been a little bit too coincidental for some of the departments of the government. Now, what we're seeing now is that an investigation is underway and they're starting to seek some of the records for the transactions that have occurred on purchasing stocks for Kodak within their own company and board members. So this might be an interesting one to have a look. It could very well look like insider trading. It may not be that, but it definitely looks that way to be at the moment. Just a little bit too suspicious for comfort. Now, moving on from that, we've also got a little bit to talk about on Brazil. Brazil's central bank has cut its rate down to 2%. Now, they've done two back-to-back 75 basis point cuts recently, and so now it's at an all-time low for their interest rate. The central bank also indicated that there was likely to be more stimulus, at least they didn't rule it out, and that they would continue to run with the stimulus measures that they have in place right now, but there would be no reductions for some foreseeable future. Now, Brazil has really been one of the hardest hit Latin nations from coronavirus. They have more than 2.8 million cases so far and more than 95,000 dead. So they've rivaled even that of the US in terms of infections. But regardless of that, we've seen the economy collapse all because of it and a little bit more. Iron ore supplies are down and exports are obviously down as well. So they're struggling there as well. And as an emerging currency, you can imagine what this might do to their real interest rates and of course to the population and consumer spending. So it is a place of concern. It might be interesting to keep an eye on if you do trade the Brazilian real or any of the other emerging market currencies that fluctuate with Brazil. So something to look for in the future. Now, moving on from that, we've also heard a little bit from the Cleveland Fed Chair, Loretta Mester. Mester has basically said that there's more fiscal support is needed for the economy, and that the Fed is looking to have their policy expand beyond the measures that they've got now, which are really about trying to get the economy kick-started again, and eventually it's going to be transitioning into how we can further support the economy and maintain that recovery. So there is some words on that, and usually when we hear from Mester, she's quite a hawkish person. So it's interesting to see the tone of difference that she's made in the most recent speech that she had. Now, the last one to look at for today is at a quick look at the S&P 500. It has advanced again. It's had some good news coming out when it comes to the positive news on vaccines, and we've also had these sort of speculation going on around more stimulus being delivered. So that really has helped drive the prices up on the S&P 500. Now, the interesting part about this is that it's closed within 2% of its all-time high, which you would remember was only at the beginning of this year. So it's almost wiped out all those losses that we've seen so far. The run has been absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what happens next, and particularly whilst we're in the midst of earnings season, anything could happen here. So definitely keep an eye on the S&P 500. It may in fact reach its new highs before the end of this year. Now, looking at the news ahead, we have New Zealand inflation expectations to occur. We also have some news coming from the Bank of England, monetary policy reports, a rate statement, as well as any changes to their rate and a summary of it all together, plus the minutes. And then we'll also hear from Governor Bailey. So That will be a lot later on this evening, probably after 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so keep an eye on that, especially if you're trading the pound. We're not sure what we're really going to see here today. I'm expecting the similar action that they had last time. So if you are aware, go back and have a quick check what they did, and we can look forward for some more trade opportunities tonight. Now, as well as that, much later tonight, we have US natural gas storage. Now, considering the OPEC world at the moment, and we've just finished our most recent agreement that OPEC had about oil production, and they're now tapering it even further from 9.7 to 7.7 barrels per day, then we might see some more interesting factors around that. It is a precarious place for oil these days. They are sitting right on the balance, and they are trying to balance up the prices, the production, and obviously trying to keep the market share and stop the US market from taking over. So we need to keep an eye on what's happening with oil, especially if we're trading it. Either way, that's all I have for you today. It is a very short day. Tomorrow we do have NFP, so you will likely to see a little bit less of volatility leading up to that point. Now, if there's anything from today's video that you have enjoyed or you want to ask me a question about, please feel free to get in contact with me on any of my socials. And of course, the easiest one is at my email, talktoal@acy.com. If there's anything else from today that I can help you with, please don't be hesitant to reach out. Now, don't forget as well to like this video and subscribe so you can get more great video content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.